It's really tough to do a balance of when you start out with your own business, a lot of money gets invested into your business. And the way we track your income when you're a business of yourself, you have a lot of expenses against it and everything else. Maybe we keep money in the corporation. The net number that the banks are looking at ends up being a lot less. Hey, it's Lauren Andrews here from Dominion Lending Centers Expert Financial, optimalfinance.ca. How are we going to save money for that down payment? How much of a down payment we're going to need, especially when you get into properties that are over, say, $1 million, you need at least a minimum 20% down payment, which is like a $200,000 down payment on a $1 million home. What happens here is if I'm not showing the income and we go to the big banks and the regular A lenders, they're going to ask for the net income is basically what we can use. Whatever we're paying ourselves, the net amount, that's what they're going to use for income. So what we qualify for is a lot less than really what we could potentially afford, because we have a large cash flow. A lot of it's being retained within our businesses. I want to tell you a story. Jim, very good cash flow. He kept a lot of money in his corporation. And then basically what he would do is pay himself only a small portion. Maybe it's dividends or whatnot. So he wasn't really qualifying for that much. The other thing too, with a regular A lender, because of the net income. So let me just recap on this. But his cash flow was strong. The money that was in his corporation was strong. Everything else. So he could actually, if we looked at everything, he could really afford a property that was $1 million. That was his target price. He wanted to buy a home that was about $1 million in the GTA. Second issue, because he put a lot of money in that corporation, he only had about $50,000 saved for that down payment. So here's what we did. So we're going to be looking at his cash flow within his corporation, and we're actually going to be using a gross amount, and then we're going to deduct a reasonable amount for the expenses to come up with a higher income amount. For this, he easily now qualifies for a mortgage of about $800,000 when we're using these numbers. Now he needs to get to that $1 million property. So how does he do that? He only has $50,000 down. Well, what we do now is we look at shared equity financing. So basically, shared equity financing gives you what you need to make up a 20% down payment. And the banks are okay with this. So you have to understand there's other ways to get into a home sooner. So we're able to now say, okay, Jim puts $50,000 down. Shared equity financing will put the other $150,000 down. Now that gets us to our $1 million property. Now, Jim gets into a home today. His other option was to wait, save, try and declare more income, possibly have to pay more income taxes for it. Maybe if he could save an extra $50,000 a year, if he had extra savings to do that, it might take him another 3-4 years to be able to have his 20% down payment for his target purchase price. So what would this mean for Jim? That would mean that he's getting into a home 4 years down the road. What price is that $1 million home now? That home is not $1 million. If it's appreciating by 10%, it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 1.2 million, let's say, for example. And then what Jim's missing out on in that is using real estate to build up his equity position, which is really important right now. And that's why even if you do shared equity, and basically shared equity financing, whatever contribution they're going to be giving towards that down payment from the increase or decrease, that's when you pay them back that portion when you sell that property down the road. You can use it up to 10 years or refinance them if you need to after 10 years. But most people are using the program to leverage to get into real estate right now to actually build equity within that particular home and then basically cash out. Basically sell that home 4 or 5 years down the road when the appreciation has actually happened within the home. Now they're using what they get from there to go buy their next home. So it is a major leverage point that you can use to get into a home sooner, but build equity based on the entire value of that home based on your down payment to get into that next home. Okay, so it's a stepping stone. So let's just recap. Jim shows $50,000 of net income on paper, okay? And Jim has a $50,000 down payment, and Jim's gonna buy $1 million home. It's amazing, 100%. It's something that if you are in that position of you're self-employed, you have the ability to actually maybe get into a home a lot sooner than you actually thought you possibly could have. I encourage you to reach out. Let's look at your entire situation, look at your goals, where you want to get to, and see if we can get you there sooner. Thanks very much for listening. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.